This will be a series of videos that I'm putting together with lessons on basic music theory for choir members. Music theory is something that can be very complicated, but we are not going to go there. We're not going to get too deep into the weeds. We're going to keep it pretty basic, pretty simple. We're going to keep it relevant to what we do in church. And the topics we're going to cover will include note durations, time signatures, staffs, key signatures, scales, steps, accidentals, tempo, dynamics, other musical symbols that we will encounter from time to time, and anything else that you want to cover or anything else that comes to mind. If there's something you want me to address, please let me know, and I'll be happy to talk about it. The first thing we're going to do is talk about note duration. Note duration simply refers to the amount of time that you sing a note. That's pretty much it. And then that is indicated by the appearance of the note. And so to introduce this topic, I'm first going to talk about time signatures. And a time signature tells you how many notes are in a bar. So what does that all mean? When you look at any standard Western sheet music, most of the time at the beginning of the score you're going to see what's called a time signature, and that is usually one number over another. In this case, it's a 4 over a 4. And what this tells you is how many notes, that is 4 notes in a bar or in a measure. And what's a measure? A measure is simply just a subdivision of music. It keeps things divided up into manageable chunks, and they are divided by what's called a bar line. So sometimes it's called a measure, sometimes it's called a bar. You'll hear me refer to it both ways. These terms are interchangeable. So in this case, it's telling us that there are 4 notes, or 4 beats rather, in a measure. The bottom number tells us what note value we are counting as a single beat. So for the time signature of 4/4, we have 4 quarter notes. That's what this bottom 4 tells us. So 4 quarter notes. A quarter note looks like this. It's a solid black note head. That's what this bottom part is called, a note head. Solid black with a stem. That's a quarter note. We see these quarter notes all over our music. And for a bar of 4/4, there will be 4 of them, or the equivalent of 4 of them. Some other time signatures that we may encounter from time to time are 3/4, and this would be, of course, 3 quarter notes in a measure. Sometimes we'll see things like 6/8, for example. That means that there would be 6/8 notes, and we'll talk about what an eighth note is here in a minute. Sometimes you'll see 12/8. These are not common in the music that we use, but you see them sometimes. If you look hard enough, you'll find them in music out there. Sometimes you'll see something other than a 4 or an 8. Sometimes you'll see a 2. Maybe a piece will be in 2/2 or 4/2. But more often than not, the music that you hear, the music that we will sing, it will be in 4/4. 4/4 is by far the most common time signature there is. In fact, it is so common that it is sometimes referred to as common time, and will be indicated by a C. Rather than a 4/4, if you see a C at the beginning of a piece of music, that stands for common time, and that just means 4/4. So any piece of music that is in 4/4, that is in 4/4 time, will have either 4 quarter notes or the equivalent of 4 quarter notes. It could be 2 half notes. A half note looks like this. Each half note is worth 2 quarter notes. So there's 4 beats in this measure, in this bar. This note is held for 2 beats, and this note is held for 2 beats. Whereas over here, each one of these notes is held for a single beat. We could also see something like this. and then a couple quarter notes, or something like this. Whatever, as long as it's the equivalent of 4 beats. So there's 2 beats here, and then a beat, and then a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Sometimes we'll see a whole note. A whole note is held for the entire duration of the 4-beat measure. So this is 4 beats right here. We will sometimes also see, actually pretty frequently, we'll see the quarter note divided up into smaller bits. For example, there's an eighth note. Eighth note looks just like a quarter note, except it's got this little flag on it, and two eighth notes equals a single quarter note. And so you could have 8 of these in a single measure, or you could just have something like this. So there's 1 beat, 2, 3, and 4. You could have 8 eighth notes in a measure. A lot of the time when the eighth notes come in a group like this, they're usually connected with a bar or a beam. It's called a beam, and we'll see these pretty frequently in our music. Something also that you'll see from time to time is this. You'll see a note with a dot after it. That dot extends the duration of this note by half. So whereas a half note is equivalent to 2 quarter notes, the dot adds another quarter note. So this right here is held for the equivalent of 3 beats. And so if we wanted to complete the measure, we could put something like that in. We'll also see quarter notes with a dot. And a quarter note is equal to 2 eighth notes, but that dot makes it 3 eighth notes. And very often when we see a dotted quarter note, it'll be accompanied by an eighth note. So these are the things that we sing, but there's also times when we do not sing. And the times we do not sing, those are called rests. And each of the notes, each of these sung notes has a corresponding rest. So for example, the whole note, which is held for 4 beats, has a corresponding rest called a whole rest. It looks like this. It looks like a black bar that is suspended from this line right here. And so this would get its own measure in 4/4. So 4 beats here, 4 beats here. A half rest would look like this. Very similar to a whole rest, but instead of hanging from this line, it is sitting on this line. Sometimes it's confusing. You got to think about it for a second to know what it is you're looking at. But this would be 2 beats here and then 2 beats here. So you would sing for 2 beats and then not sing for another 2 beats. There's also quarter rest, which looks like this. And so this is equal to a quarter note. And then there's eighth rest, which looks like that. And with eighth notes, so with an eighth note, we usually don't see this, but we could add flags to it to divide it even further. So 1 flag, that's an eighth note. 2 flags is a 16th note. 3 flags is a 32nd note, and so on and so forth. Same with this. We could add these little doodads here to make it even shorter. We don't usually do that. You will probably never see that in the music that we sing. So what about the music that we use in liturgy? Sometimes we don't even see time signatures. For whatever reason, we do not see time signatures for a lot of it. And why is that? I'm not really sure. I suspect that part of it is because a lot of the music we sing doesn't really have a discernible beat. And so what does that mean? Well, if you turn on the radio, next time you're in your car, turn on the radio to some music station. Just about any song you hear, you will be able to pick out the rhythm. You could tap your feet to it, you could snap your fingers to it, and more than likely it's going to be in 4/4 time. With the music that we sing, doesn't always have a discernible rhythm. You can't always pick out the beat. Try this. Next time we're in liturgy, when we're singing the antiphons, which come near the beginning of the service, as we're singing them, see if you can tap your foot to the rhythm. It's nearly impossible. I don't think it can be done because there really isn't a rhythm, and so there's no time signature shown, and there's no neatly divided measures. However, the principles of note duration still apply. Let's look at some of these other things that we do sing though. So cherubic hymn, again, you can see there's no time signature here. There could be a time signature there, but I'm going to use a different color. But there isn't. For whatever reason, there is no time signature. What time signature could we put there? We could put 3/4. And how do we know it's 3/4? Well, look how the notes go. A half note, dotted half note, that's three beats. 1, 2, 3. We could put a bar line right there. Another 3 beats right there. We could put a bar line there. And then another 3. Put a bar line there, 2, and then a third bar line there, and then another dotted half note. So these are all are or could be bars of 3, and it just continues on like that for the whole song, pretty much. Not pretty much. It continues this way for the whole song. So whoever arranged this, maybe in the original by Bortniansky, maybe he didn't put a time signature, I don't know. But for some reason, whoever put this sheet music together for us did not include a time signature. Didn't have to, but they could have. The Holy God that we sing, however, it does have a time signature. And we can see this right here. 2 beats. 2 beats. It's in 4/4, obviously. Here's a measure of 4 quarter notes, and here's a measure of 1 whole note. 4 quarter notes, half, half, 4 quarter notes, half, quarter, quarter, so the 4 beats. Same here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it continues that way for the rest of the piece. With this one, though, the little entrance, there's a few things going on here that are kind of interesting that I want to point out. First of all, it's obviously in 4/4. It starts in 4/4 anyway. But what do we see right off the bat? We see 2 notes. Why not 4? Well, this is what's called a pickup measure. And a pickup measure just is put in place just to kind of get the rhythm going. It's not included in the count. The count starts right here. So you'll sometimes see this. A pickup measure may be 1 note, it may be 2, it may be 3, it could be 8th notes, it could be whatever. But it's not really included in the count. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, 1. Here's a couple 8th notes. So that's another beat. And then 3, 4. Same here. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, and then 2 there. Then we've got a bar of 2/4. Hello. 2/4. So there's 2 beats, and then we go back to 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again with the 2, and then back to 4/4, and then what's this? We got a bar of 3/4. 1, 2, 3, and then the rest of it is in 4/4. Pretty straightforward. Simple. With the Theophanovskoya anaphora, we see a few interesting things. For example, there's a pickup measure again, and then a bar of 4/4, easy, 4 quarter notes. And then look, here's our dotted half note. Dotted half note and a quarter note. So there's 3 beats and then another beat. And then we've got 4 8th notes. How many beats is 4 8th notes? 2. 1, 2, then there's 3, and there's 4. Again here, same thing. And then there's a bar of 4 with the whole note. And then look, there's our quarter rest. So there's 1 beat, and then 2, 3, 4. And then another beat, and then 2 there, and then 2 here, and then look, there's our half rest. So that's 2. There's 2 beats that we don't sing, and then a third we don't sing right there, and then we pick up the singing again on the second beat of the next measure. All right, I hope this was meaningful to everybody. I hope this answered some questions. I hope this cleared some things up. I hope it wasn't too confusing. If you do have any questions, please give me a shout, and I'll be happy to do my best to answer them. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye.